Hey everyone, welcome to Relevance Please, the first of our weekly live stream demo series across search, observability, and security, rotating speakers and topics. Every session is short and focused with an open Q&A, so drop your questions in the chat as we go. Here's today's speaker, JP Hwang, Senior Developer Advocate. So, hey JP.
Hey Vanessa, hey everyone. So thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here for the first session today. What layout? Okay, we're going with that layout. Cool. It's our first session today. We'll, like Vanessa said, we'll be here every week. So it's given that it's our first session, there might be some teething issues. We'll see how it goes, but I'm sure it'll be fun for everybody. Now, I think we're live on X or Twitter, whatever it's called these days, and also YouTube. While I'm talking away, I'd love to hear from all of you. So if as our as social media manager's done on YouTube, please let us know on comments if you are watching, or I'd love to hear where you're watching from. So, and then I'll keep an eye on the comments alongside the demo and just chatting away, and I'll reply to them as I go. Cool. So having said that, let's screen share. You should be able to see my screen here. Cool. So what I wanted to talk about today is video search. And this is kind of a pet project or something like that of mine because I do watch videos a lot and I've had some maybe not dissatisfaction, but perhaps some, I think there's areas where it could be better. So I've got YouTube page open here, and this is the kind of stuff I do on YouTube, right? So video search does work really well if you want to do kind of like the vanilla type stuff, right? If I want to say, so learn about Elasticsearch, I would get, tutorials like these and courses and so on. So this type of search where you're searching by content works really, really well. But something that maybe doesn't work so well is if I want to search things by what's on the screen. So like a visual search, right? So if I want to say, oh, I want to see how people write code examples on screen, what I'll end up getting is kind of stuff like this. It's not, you know, maybe coding examples talking about coding projects or this kind of screensaver project. It's not quite what I want. And it's the same thing if I want to say, search things by how the presenter looks on screen for inspiration and so on. So, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So here's what I built instead. Let's have a look at my little demo application, localhost 8000. So here's a little demo application that I built today, or built for the session today. And I should say that everything here is running locally on my machine. So let's see from my little library of videos, what happens if I type presenter with glasses with the right number of S's. We get these videos of our colleague JD looking lovely in his glasses in his whatever room that is. So you can, and again, he's not talking about himself in the video. The video is not titled, hey, here's JD with glasses. I've just simply searched for the phrase presenter with glasses and got these sets of videos. And similarly, if I want to search for code snippets, I get, again, similar kind of results. So based on what's on the screen, which in this case are code snippets, and I believe this next video is kind of a similar thing where there's code snippets later in the video. The search has done the exact thing that I want. It's matched my intent well and surfaced the right results. And actually, here's a nice wrinkle with this application as well. So if I click this speak search button and go presenter with Kindle, I'm going to stop. That didn't quite work. Let's try that again. Kindle. Cool. I think I'm maybe not speaking to it clearly enough or something, but I was trying to say the word Kindle, and here we go. The second result is our colleague Jen holding that's a Kindle. You probably can't see so well there, but that is a Kindle she's holding on screen. So here, what I've been able to do is to just speak into the microphone and use that voice form or waveform, if you will, to search my videos. It's really cool, right? And think about what else you could do with technology like this, where, thanks, Rob. Yeah, that does never work the first time. Got to pray to the demo gods. With technology like this, you can maybe search for product or videos of products in the video, or some sort of visual clues that you might remember from it. And what's happening under the hood is a vector search. So I'm sure many of you are like really familiar with vector search, but this concept of it is fairly simple. The idea is that there's some sort of an embedding model that translates your inputs, whether it's words like cat or kitten, and measures similarity between those words. And if you've seen that concept before, what we're doing in this demo is basically that, but for, why is that so small? Multimodal embedding. So whether it's a word, an image, an audio file, or a video, it's the embedding model, which is the Gina Omni model that I'm using, is able to understand all of that and translate them into compatible embeddings so that if they are similar, or the more similar they are, the closer they would be in the vector space, and they'll be closer to each other. So we've got a different video on the Gina model, where our one of the engineers, Florian, is speaking into the microphone and making cat noises and finding cat videos, which is why we're very cat example heavy in these models, in these examples. But that's what that is. So what's happening in our code? Let me just go back to our examples. Is relatively straightforward. So to give you a simplified version of what's happening in the application, let's take this example where I've got a video clip here, as you can see, and just these 3 bits of text. And now I'm just going to run this in real time on my laptop. If I run this, yeah, it's running. What I'm going to do is to embed this video, or convert this video into a vector embedding. And I'm going to convert each of these 3 bits of text into vector embeddings. And I'm just going to compare them, compare the vector similarities, and we'll get scores out of them. Here we go. And it's taken us about 8 seconds to convert that first video into a vector. And when I compare each of these text strings, you can see that the video here, which is the one you saw of Jen holding a Kindle, the similarity score is the highest, or as in the video is the closest to this first video of first is text of presenter with Kindle, right? So that similarity score is the highest here. And the 2 kind of other random bits of text have a similarity score, but not as high. So that's the basic kind of intuition, if you will, behind this demo. So if we go back to Omni-modal search, and this is just happening at a larger scale. So if I say cake, I can show you actually something that's interesting, which is that in this application, I've actually embedded each video twice. And you'll remember that when we first talked about video search, I talked about the fact that, hey, under the hood, the normal kind of video search, if you will search through title and description and so on. So there's a lot of value in matching against those, as there are in value against matching against the visuals. So what I've done is to embed each video twice, so that it's got embeddings of the transcript as well as the video. So if the transcript matches the word cake really well, that's going to come up in the hits like this. But down the list, there we go. In terms of matching this particular clip, it's actually matched the video and the audio embedding really, really closely. So that's come up as a hit as well. So this model and this kind of application, if you build on top of it, will give you flexibility as to what you can do with your video assets, and the fact that you can sometimes you might want to look by content, and sometimes you actually might want to perform searches by the visual aspect of it. And I haven't shown it so much here because it does get a bit noisy, is that the model is also able to embed audio as well, not just video. And because of that, if there's like a lot of audio information, whether it's music or sound effects and so on, and that's kind of important to you, animal noises even, you can embed those as well and search your library through all of that. Cool. So the key components that I use to build these or build this particular application is these. So I've used Elasticsearch. I've actually used the open source version of Elasticsearch here, so it's running everything locally. And you can, just to prove that to you, I can show you that I've got this local instance of Elasticsearch running in the background. And the model that I'm running is also local as well. So what I'm running is this Gina Embeddings v5 Omni small model. And I'm using the sentence transformer library, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with if you've run the local, let's say, language models or embedding models or so on. So I've loaded that in the background and I'm reusing that for this application. So everything here is running locally, which is really, really neat. And everything I've showed you today is also available as a repository online. If you go to the GitHub page, which we'll add the link to in the description later, you'll see this README and it'll show you how to set it up and run it all yourself. And of course, you can swap out any of these components. You can swap out the Elasticsearch open source component with the serverless instance or so on, and the same thing with the host Gina model. You can use the hosted Gina API, which will be more convenient for a lot of people. And also, it's obviously the better solution for commercial use as well. And I know I've run through a lot of concepts in the last 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please feel free to fire away because I'm going to hang around after the session is finished. But having said all that, I'm going to, so I've got a question. Let me just try and answer that. So I've got a question here. Hey, can we run this locally? Absolutely. So this version is running locally, but also you have the option of running a lot of these models on the cloud as well. So if you want to run this on Elastic Inference Service, you can. If you if you are outside of the Elastic ecosystem and want to run it on the Gina API directly, you can do that as well. And of course, I'm running a local version of Elastic, but it doesn't have to be that way. Cool, thanks for that question. And what I was going to say was that I know I've just run through a lot of this. This is meant to be a quick 10-minute demo, and I've gone over time already. But if you want to try this out yourself, we've got a YouTube video where I go through the kind of key concepts behind it, some of the decisions I made in terms of building this application, and also sort of go through the code base a little bit more in detail than the lightning speed that I went through it at today. So please feel free to check that out on YouTube, and I'd love to hear from people. Oh, I've got another question here. Thanks very much. Which version of Elastic are we using? So I'm using Elastic 9.4, I believe, but a lot of the features that I've used for this particular demo are pretty vanilla. Like the most important piece of it is the Gina v5 Omni model, which is the multimodal model that kind of really powers this whole thing. So it's this, I'll just get rid of the sidebar. It's this embedding model piece here that allows us to translate these inputs into kind of compatible outputs in the same shared embedding space. So thank you for that question. That's really good. Cool. So that was all I had. And I don't want to take up any more time than I have to. But if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer that after the fact. But maybe I'll hand. Okay. Oh, there's another question. I'll answer that. Thanks, Vanessa. So is the Gina model included in the free version? Well, the Gina, so for personal use, you can use the Gina model. So that's totally fine. You should check the license for non-personal uses. And yeah, that's my main advice is for non-personal use. You should check the licensing terms and figure out what solution would work best for you. Actually, I have an example here in the code base where you can generate embeddings with the Gina API. The Gina API includes, oops, sorry, it's that one. The Gina API includes if you go to Gina website and get your own API key, it does include, I think, 1 million kind of, I forget some sort of units of credit, and that's totally free. So if you want to try that out, that's totally free. So I would encourage you to do that. But if you're looking for like larger scale commercial use, check the license and figure out what solution, whether it's API or self-hosted, that would work best for you. And I believe the Gina folks have got some exciting stuff cooking up in that department as well, which I'm sure you'll hear more about. Cool. Okay. I think I'm done for now raving and ranting on. So maybe Vanessa, I'll hand over back to you.
I am definitely on mute. Now it's on, right?
Yeah.
I was thanking you for this brilliant demo, and also thanking everyone for joining us for the first time. So we'll be here next Thursday around the same time with a new speaker covering a new demo, this time on observability. If you want to stay tuned for the next sessions, follow us on our YouTube and X channels. And yeah, see you next time.